Now that that's out of the way, let's get back to the Shania Twain story. First, let's talk about what she said at first. Basically, Shania said she would have voted for Trump because he seems honest, which is true. Trump is the most straightforward, tell you like it is politician we've ever seen. And sure, he comes across as offensive sometimes, but that's because the truth hurts sometimes. And that's still worlds better than someone who sugarcoats everything and will likely lie to your face at the end of the day. Much like the other option in the 2016 election, Hillary Clinton. And looking back, when your two choices are Trump or Clinton, I really don't see how picking Trump over her is controversial at all. It's a gimme, if you ask me. In fact, I would say it would have been more stupid if Shania said she would have voted for Hillary, who not only lost, she's also still around dragging her old, gross, alcoholic body around Washington. Hillary just won't leave us alone. She's like Freddy Krueger, or a more apt analogy is Friday the 13th Jason, a living zombie who we try to kill over and over again but just keeps coming back. And I say this to Hillary, get over it, Miss Clinton. You're the worst. No one likes you. It's time to go away and fade into obscurity. With that said, from the get-go, Shania Twain didn't even really say anything offensive. She just answered a question honestly after a lengthy interview. And in my opinion, what Shania should really be embarrassed about here is that she didn't vote for Trump in the first place. Because she couldn't vote, of course, because she's Canadian. And that's probably the most embarrassing thing you can be in current year. Let's face it. Also, being Canadian is another part of the reason Twain is getting so much backlash here. Her home country contains a lot of her fan base, who obviously are out of control, leftist, socialist communists, who see ladders as opportunities to step up and have sex with their native land's growing moose population. But with all that in mind, I have to say, Shania Twain's apology and backpedal here isn't a total surprise either. I would say it's completely unnecessary though. There's nothing really to apologize for here. Slightly supporting the President of America, the President of the free world, isn't controversial, and people shouldn't be shamed for it. But, of course, we aren't living in a perfect world, are we? And I do understand the practicality of an apology here for Shania, especially considering her fans, which apparently are largely left-leaning and anti-Trump, or at least the loud and proud ones we're hearing online. Let's go ahead and read some of the apology though before I get ahead of myself. It says this: I would like to apologize, spelled with an S, spelled like a Canadian, to anybody I have offended in a recent interview with The Guardian relating to the American president. The question caught me off guard. As a Canadian, I regret answering this unexpected question without giving my response more context. I really don't think more context is needed here though, and I got a feeling Shania is going to go full libtard here. She was almost cool and base too before, but now she's backpedaling and playing to the leftist. Not cool. I'm passionately against discrimination of any kind, and I hope it's clear from the choices I have made and the people I stand with that I do not hold any common moral beliefs with the current president. Well, I think you actually do hold common moral beliefs with the president and conservatives, and with myself. I mean, you just said you're against discrimination, and, well, we're all against that, honey. I don't think anyone is claiming to be for discrimination, actually, and I don't appreciate you implying the president is. Trump has been the most open, accepting, welcoming president in our lifetime. Would you really prefer the anti-white, pro-Muslim, and anti-Israel Democrats? Do you really want them in charge? Hillary wasn't against discrimination. She championed it. The whole entire Democratic platform is based on identity politics, which itself is based on discriminating against whites, so they can of course prop up the blacks and browns and get them to vote for Democrats. I was trying to explain, in response to a question about the election, that my limited understanding was that the president talked to a portion of America like an accessible person they could relate to. He was not a politician. Well, you were spot on there. Trump did do that. He does do that. He do it. And again, a lot of people forget to bring up the other options in that election. And that really pisses me off. I mean, I don't want to sound like a broken record. I don't want to sound like I'm saying but Hillary every time this comes up, but you really got to think about the options in 2016's election. The military would call them the facts on the ground. And the facts there were this: Americans had to choose between Trump and crooked Hillary, and we rightly elected Donald J. Trump. And it looks like Shania can sympathize with us here, clearly. But she also can't withstand the public pressure to give in and apologize either. And while I will say that's weak and unfortunate, I will also admit I understand this move too. Shania is a singer trying to sell CDs and concert tickets. She doesn't really need to and probably should avoid getting wrapped up in political controversies. What she should have done here was not say anything about this at all. Completely staying out of politics is the way to go for entertainers like this, especially when they don't have the stomach or the social capital to soldier through the media shitstorms. And let's face it, Shania is no Kanye West. Kanye, like how we mentioned in a story earlier this week, he has continued to spit pro-conservative red pills out to the masses, this week online and on Twitter. But Kanye is much more famous and is still currently very relevant. Shania, on the other hand, is basically a one-hit wonder from the 90s. A wash-up, a has-been. She may have had a few other hit songs back then, but she's definitely pretty washed up at this point, so she really can't afford to offend people, not when she has a new tour and album coming out now. And let's face it, Shania is pretty lucky to get anyone to still come to her shows at this point. My answer was awkward, but certainly should not be taken as representative of my values, nor does it mean I endorse him. I make music to bring people together. My path will always be one of inclusivity, as my history shows. Well, that's fine with me, I guess, but it don't impress me much. I will say though, if Shania or other entertainers wanted to take more neutral, apolitical stances, then I would totally be fine with that. I would welcome it actually. Too many celebrities have ruined themselves by getting overly political, especially in the last few years. It would be nice to see them take a more neutral approach like how Shania is trying to do here. Her problem is that she's a little late at this. Twain already said she would have voted for Trump. She should have stuck by that at least a little bit. Now seeing her backpedal and try and be neutral is a little sad and pathetic. She was so close to becoming our girl too, but now she's being all Canadian and weak, just like how James Cameron was in yesterday's story. Must be something in the water out there in Canada, or should I say, there's something in the maple syrup out there, something that's making their whole country a bunch of leftist cuckolds, much like their leader Trudeau. I will give Canada some credit though. I know I'm pretty hard on that country, but you gotta admit there's a lot of crazy SJW stories coming out of there, eh? But I will say this, Canada's not all bad either. The Trailer Park Boys is a favorite show of mine. If you have Netflix, you should totally check it out. And Canadian actors like Mike Myers and Jim Carrey are pretty goddamn legendary, even though the latter, Jim Carrey, has had some crazy little radical leftist episodes and rants himself. But overall, Canada isn't the worst country in the world. It's just kind of like the unwanted stepchild of America. We love it, but we also resent it, and it's a bit annoying sometimes with this SJW shit. And Canada is also, of course, known for being overly polite and overly apologetic, so perhaps that's another reason Shania Twain is saying sorry here. It's in her Canadian blood. But I have to say again, why even apologize here? Apologize with a Z, the American way. Think about it. Half of America voted for our president. And guess what, Shania? It was Americans who loved and supported your music the most too. Shania probably has more fans in the United States than the total population of Canada combined. And I would wager that the greater majority of those Shania fans, the ones that like Twain's pop country music, most of those American fans are probably Trump supporters too. So seeing her eat crow here and give this unnecessary apology is just so fucking sad. In my opinion, Shania has nothing to apologize for. Even if there are some fans who disagree with her about Trump, so the fuck what? I disagree with celebrities all the time politically, and it's far worse being a conservative dealing with this, since most of Hollywood and entertainment are radical leftists, of course. But you know what? If I like a song or movie, I'll still go out and buy it and support it and watch it. And Shania would still get support from her leftist fans if she stuck it out with this statement. Unfortunately though, she played it safe, and while I can understand her reasoning for doing that, I can't say I support that decision fully. In the end, Shania Twain apologized for saying she would have voted for Trump. Think about that again real quick. She didn't even actually vote for him. She couldn't in fact. But the sheer suggestion of it has sent the mass media into a whirlwind. This is how crazy and radically biased things are out there, in the world and online these days. Things have admittedly become much more serious and politically charged in the real world, and on the internet, certainly. But I think there's good reason for that. The SJWs and the left are getting a little gun-shy. They've been hit and taken down and lost so many times, now even the slightest whiff of a problem gets dogpiled on immediately. It's a big sign of weakness in my opinion. The left is so broken, so pathetic and worthless, they can't even handle when a Canadian singer says she might have voted for Trump, if she could. And that really says a lot. Mainly, us, the United States, Trump, and conservatives, we're on the rise, guys. Right wing is the new counterculture, and if we keep winning like this, I think we have a chance of taking over the mainstream again soon. What do you guys think? Was Shania Twain right about Trump coming across as honest and straightforward? Was the backlash she received here well-deserved? And should Twain have apologized following that? Comment your thoughts on everything below, and thanks for watching No Bullshit. See y'all next time.